Welcome to your first haircutting lesson. Okay, so we've just brought our client back from the shampoo bowl and their hair is all pulled back, okay? You need to find their part. Ask them where they naturally part their hair and part it where they part their hair. When you begin to part their hair and you go to comb back, they're gonna wanna come with you. And when they do that, I just used my thumb, just put my thumb on the back of their head so that I put a little bit of pressure so that when they wanna come with me, they can't. I kind of push back so that, and that's just a little trick that makes things easier for me. All right, stay with me because I'm going to move fast. I want you to pay attention to these hand movements because you're going to see me do the same hand movements in every single lesson. There's a gap between the ear and the hairline right here. I put my finger on top of their ear to protect their ear and also to find my section. My fingertip is up, my comb goes straight down, touches my fingertip. I pinch the hair, separate, comb this back, comb this forward, twist this out of my way and out of my client's face, okay? And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Now watch my hand, my finger's already back there, okay? When you do this every time, it makes it really fast and easy. Okay, now we're gonna section the back. So I want you to see, before we go to section the back, I want you to look at her hairline, okay? There's this little C area and then it goes straight down. Now that C usually kind of stops right there, like where the cartilage piercing is, right there. See how everything below my finger goes straight down and then everything above my finger's curved? That is where I'm gonna go straight across. This is where I like to grab my jumbo clips. And see how I'm pulling this hair out of the way and I'm looking right here. And I just go straight across to the same part on the other side. I use this hair, I hold it, I wrap my finger, twirl that around nice and tight. Okay. See how we've got a straight across section there? This is a square shape. Our sections are going to follow our shape. And we want to make sure that our client is looking down when we're cutting a one length. Not too much, okay? That's going to cause elevation and not, and clients, they always like to look up at you when they're talking to you. They like to look up and you have to pay attention to make sure that their head is slightly down. Sometimes I like to tell my clients to find a spot on the floor and stare at it, you know? And I try not to talk to them when I'm cutting this part because I don't want any elevation. Okay, so body position is going to be a little difficult for me to show you because when you're cutting a square, my body position should be right here, right in the middle. And if I do that, I'm going to be in front of the camera. So I'm going to avoid doing that for you in this video, but you need to keep in mind that you should be standing directly in front right here. You should not be moving your body from side to side because over here on the sides, this is where we're losing some neck. And this is a really weak area. Where this C shape is, this is your corner of your square shape, okay? See how you don't have really a perimeter here? This is your perimeter. It's a really weak area, and we want to protect that area. When we're cutting a square, we're only going to use half of our comb, okay? We're going to have three comb downs. One here, one here, one here. We're going to be standing directly in the middle. I like to stick my middle finger up under here where the hairline is so that I make sure I've got all the hair. So see how my middle finger's under and this finger's ready to meet the comb. My comb is parallel with my section. My comb isn't, I'm starting from the very top of that section. Now my finger's meeting and I've made sure that I've got all those little hairs underneath. I'm probably going to sit on a saddle stool to cut this as well so that you are eye level, but I should be standing or sitting. Really, I like to sit when I cut one lengths because if you're standing, you can have a little bit of elevation and you won't even notice it. So it's way better to sit eye level with what you're cutting. Make sure your wrist is not flipped like this. You want to keep it as neutral as possible. Don't cut past your second knuckle. Okay, so you've got that first little section done. Now, over here, the head is starting to round, okay? So my comb, do you see how my comb is like this? If I'm parallel with that section, do you see how my comb is like that? And it's because the head is starting to round, but we want it to be square, okay? The shape we're cutting is square, but the head is round. So how are we going to make this square and not cut off this corner? Because if we go straight down from here, we're not going to have a corner. You see how it's not going to be even. We need to preserve that corner by bringing this back here. So when we put our comb in, okay, we might start here and we're still standing directly in the middle. Do you see how I put my comb in, my finger's under, and when my finger, it kind of meets that middle finger, that's when I start pulling this to correct this to where this is now a square shape. Do you watch that movement of how fast I did that, of how I went from here to here? Okay, now I've got that nice strong square. I've got one little long hair there. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Now I've got proper body position because now I'm sitting right in the middle as I'm cutting this. And you can see that I go like my comb starts here, but do you see how I'm pulling this from here to here? So I'm cutting a square. I'm protecting those corners. Now let me just make sure, well, I was off about 1/4 of an inch over here. Make sure everything's nice and even. Perfect. Make sure I don't have any little tags. If I have tags, it's probably because I didn't have proper elevation. But now we've got a nice, clean, straight square by going straight down, straight down, straight down. Okay? We're gonna drop the next section. Now, if they currently have layers in their hair, you might not have anything to cut here, okay? But if they do and you're going for no layers, or if they don't and you're going for no layers, then you just cut the length. And this should be real easy because now you are able to find your guide and just cut. If you don't see your guide, let me show you what it looks like to find your guide. Now I pull my finger all the way to that guide so I know where I'm cutting. But do you guys see where that guide is? Right there. That's where it's at, okay? If you don't see your guide, then you've lost your sectioning. It means you don't have clean enough sectioning and you need to resection so that you can find your guide. Do not cut if you can't find your guide. That's a sectioning problem, okay? Just kind of double check everything, making sure that we're still looking nice and square. Drop down the top. Like I said, you may or may not have hair to cut. Okay, that's the back of a square. Now we're going to move to the side. And look, her head's still facing down. We don't want her to face down anymore. Otherwise, you're going to create a triangular shape. And we are trying to create a square. Okay, so here we go. We're going to find the same spot where the recession is, usually about the parietal ridge area. We're going to section that off. Our comb is parallel with our section. We're combing in, and we're going to have two sections. Our comb is going to go here, and our comb is going to go here because we're connecting the back. So you can see that guide right there. Okay. See, I've got a nice strong corner there. Okay, now this area right here, see how this hair comes out further? Okay, So we're gonna have to over direct that a little bit to still continue with our square shape. And look, there's only a few little guys down here. Now that's an area where people create a hole, is this area, because look at how that just easily, because see, there's no perimeter there. This is the perimeter, okay? So you have to over direct this, pull this over in that section to continue creating that square shape, because if you go with it, you're gonna create a round shape. You need to make that nice, strong, and square. See that nice square shape? Okay, nice square shape. And let's do this side. Okay, see how I kind of went right here in the middle of that C? Do you notice how my hand automatically goes in so that I'm catching all of those little guys underneath? Straight down, found my guide. Don't cut past the second knuckle. Now this is easier. You don't really have to over direct until you get to that little bang area, okay? You just pull all this straight down. And you should be standing directly in front of it, okay? I'm to the side, but you should be standing directly in front of this when you're cutting. You only have 3 body positions when you're cutting a square. Directly in front. In the back, directly in front on the sides. That's it. Now you've got a nice square shape. You're gonna check for symmetry. Make sure that you're even. Now, if you're not even, okay, here's a common mistake. You say, oh, I need to cut this side, it's longer. And then you cut, and then you say, oh, shoot, now this side is longer because you cut too much. What you need to do is you need to tell yourself, I am not going to cut this side at all, okay? So since I'm not going to play this back and forth game, making sure that it's even, I'm not going to cut this side. So maybe I need to cut 1/2 inch on this side, but I'm going to tell myself I'm only going to cut 1/4 inch and then go back and edge it up so you never touch this side. You make that promise to yourself. Otherwise, you play that game where you're edging up and up and up, and then you end up with a haircut that's 2 inches shorter than you wanted, okay? That is a square 1 length. Isn't she beautiful? Nice, bold, strong. And we're going to move on to a triangular 1 length next. I'll see you in the next lesson.